We booked an amazing 12-night itinerary on the Norwegian Star to go from Reykjavik, Iceland to New York City. And the itinerary was beautiful, but it went through several itinerary changes. It ended up that the trip never looked like the one we booked. Please stay with me to the end and help me decide, do you think this was a bait and switch? Or were they truly acting in the best interest of the guests' experience and safety? Or could it have been maybe a combination of both? We booked a beautiful itinerary with Norwegian Cruise Line. The original itinerary had us circumnavigating Iceland, then hitting a couple of ports in Greenland before going over to Newfoundland and Nova Scotia and ending up in New York. We loved this itinerary and invited 2 other couples to join us on it. And we started getting very excited. We booked well in advance. In fact, we booked May of 2023 for a cruise that was not going to happen until July of 2024. So we had well over a year to plan. And I like doing that because you typically get the best rate the earlier you book, and you have a prime choice of cabins. And the wife of one of the couples has some motion sensitivity. Being able to book a midship cabin is important to help with those issues. This itinerary was going to have several ports where we were going to dock and would not need to tender, and tendering can have its own set of motion issues. In October of 2023, we started our research in earnest because we like to book our excursions and know what we're going to do. We had read that many of the best excursions may sell out well in advance because the ports are small and the offerings are not as large as they might be in major cities. So we wanted to do our research, know what it is, have it booked, know exactly what we're doing, get our ducks in a row, as it were. First, we chose our hotel, the Center Hotel Plaza in Reykjavik, downtown. We liked this location because it was so close to everything that we could walk to. We knew that we would be able to have breakfast there at the hotel, so we secured that hotel really early. Then we started looking at the different ports. Now, Djúpivogur in Iceland really didn't show any excursions yet at this port, and we knew that it was going to be a tender port, so we wanted to book a shore excursion from the cruise line when they came out. Kind of skipped over that one for now and started looking at some of the other ports. Akureyri. We booked a beautiful excursion at Akureyri through Viator to go see Lake Mývatn and Godafoss waterfalls. Fully refundable until 24 hours prior to the trip, just in case we were finding any other excursions we might like better while doing our research, but we wanted to lock this one in. Then we booked a 3.5-hour trip to the Diandi waterfalls at the port of Ísafjörður, also through Viator. The 2 ports in Greenland were both scheduled to be tender ports, so we wanted to book a Norwegian excursion for these ports, or at least for one of them. From our research, it looked like Nanartalik was going to be the best place to do an iceberg excursion, where you could get in the smaller boats and go look at the icebergs a little more up close and personal. And the men really wanted to do that excursion. One of the other ladies and I planned to do coffee at a local home in Greenland. In Qaqortoq, we decided to get off the ship and board the tender boats whenever most of the crowd had already gotten off and just walk around the town some. We planned our excursions for the other ports closer to home, but it's the Iceland and Greenland ports that we're really focusing on today in this video. The trip was shaping up very nicely, and then we get the first email. Important notice, itinerary change. Dear valued guests and travel partners, the itinerary for your upcoming vacation on board Norwegian Star on July 1, 2024 has changed. Travel partners are asked to share this information with impacted guests. As part of our commitment to deliver exceptional vacation experiences at every step of the cruise journey, listening to our guests is instrumental. Given recent guest feedback and to accommodate certain circumstances, including but not limited to enhanced port and shore excursion availability for the ultimate vacation experience, fuel optimization as part of our commitment to the environment and sustainability efforts, as well as global maritime regulations, We have adjusted the original itinerary as shown below. We apologize for any inconvenience these adjustments may cause. We recognize the importance that destinations play in our guests' vacation decision-making process and assure you that these modifications were made with an optimal guest experience top of mind. While we will no longer be calling on Djúpivogur and Akureyri, we are pleased to share that we have added a visit to Grundarfjörður and Húsavík, Iceland. In addition, we have extended our visit to Halifax, Nova Scotia. The modified itinerary is as follows, and then they show a list of the old itinerary compared to the new itinerary. I was disappointed that we were not going to Akureyri. I had already watched several YouTubers and their port reviews of that and had gotten really excited about the tour we had booked. But I was not as concerned about the drop of Djúpivogur because we really didn't have anything planned there. I guess the thing that bummed me out the most was that we were no longer going all the way around Iceland. We were just going to be going along the coastline on the western borders, a little bit north, but not very much at this point. But I did some more research. We canceled everything at Akureyri and found another excursion at Húsavík. Similar, it was still going to Lake Mývatn and Gottafoss waterfalls. There were no hot springs included, and it was $75 more per couple, so we booked it instead. And we found a 5-hour tour at Grundarfjörður that looked really, really good through Viator, so we booked that. And that was going to be an exciting change. And decided, maybe not a bad change after all. It's okay. We'll be all right with this. We will look forward to our trip. The only other itinerary change was a little bit of times in port, and that's really common on a lot of sailings that they will adjust your arrival and departure times some. So it was exciting that we were going to spend a little extra time in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Now, I am not one to be overly cynical, and I don't believe in conspiracies behind every little thing that happens in the world. However, I do believe the wording on this letter was just a little bit of whitewash. For one thing, they said that they surveyed guests' recent experience, and because of guest satisfaction is one of the reasons they changed this. So I don't know, perhaps maybe Djúpivogur wasn't that great of a port for guests that had sailed there before, or maybe they were saying when there are too many ships in port, it really does minimize how many excursions are available, and that's why they did it. They didn't really say exactly what made that determining factor. I do know that Akureyri was starting to limit how many ships they were allowing in port at a time, so I thought, well, that could have played into this decision as well. But environmental concerns and sustainability as to why they changed this route, I don't understand that quite as much. I think it's more like the fuel optimization. It's probably for saving cost of fuel more so than it is about being worried about the environmental impact. They offered a $100 compensation per cabin. That was nice. We will use that onboard credit. So overall, those port changes were fine with me. We were able to make our changes, all looked good, and I was fine with that, but I was not fine with the next change that would come soon. We made it to Reykjavik on a Friday. A little bit of jet lag from an overnight flight. Made it to our hotel. We had some lunch, walked around the town a little bit, rested some, tried to get acclimated to the 24 hours of daylight and get some rest to be ready for our next day. Because on Saturday we were spending a full day going to the church, looking at Fly Over Iceland, going to the lava show, visiting the Perlin Museum, having lunch and dinner. Well, in the middle of our day, I get an email, important information, itinerary change. Well, we're on the road doing touring, so I didn't open it yet. I thought, well, give me an hour or two when I'm back at the hotel and I can really look at this and see what's going on. And man, when they said itinerary change, they meant it. Dear valued guests and travel partners, the itinerary for your upcoming vacation on board Norwegian Star has changed. While we have made every effort to maintain the original itinerary and provide you with the vacation you purchased, your safety and that of our crew remain our top priority. Unfortunately, due to unanticipated ice conditions in the south of Greenland, we have decided to take an alternative, safer route. As a result, our visits to Húsavík, Iceland, Qaqortoq, and Nanortalik, Greenland have been cancelled. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this additional change may cause and appreciate your understanding as we know how disappointing itinerary changes can be. In an effort to provide you with the best experience possible, we are pleased to share that we have added a visit to Nook, Greenland, which offers a memorable blend of Arctic adventure, cultural immersion, and stunning natural beauty, making it a truly unique destination for travelers. The modified itinerary is as follows. We're no longer going to Husavik, and we are no longer going to the two ports that we were planning to go to in Greenland. They do at least still have us going to Greenland, but we're going to have to once again scramble them out and make some changes. The friends and I gathered together, we talked about it, spent some of our vacation time discussing what are we going to do now. Canceled our excursions in Husavik. Fortunately, they were still within that 24 hours ahead of time, so we were able to get refunds for that without any problem. Viator has been really good about that. And Norwegian said any excursions booked through the cruise line would automatically be refunded, so we didn't have to worry about canceling anything with that. That just was taken care of by the cruise line. However, we wanted to look for something in Nook that might be similar. Well, the ladies had some success. We were able to find another visit in a local home and coffee at Nook, and this time it was going to be a docked port, so that was nice for my friend that has the motion sensitivity issues. We got those booked, but the iceberg excursion, while they offered it, was not nearly as exciting as the one we were going to have in the southern part of Greenland, because the icebergs are not quite as prominent in this part, and they weren't going to be able to go through fjords really as they were looking at them. So the scenery was not going to be as special, but they were still going to get to go iceberg hunting at a much higher price because the Norwegian excursion we booked in advance was at their best price. And of course, everything had gone up by the time you're just a few days out. And we're still going to Isafjordur, Grundarfjordur, but they have changed the dates we're in those ports. So we're also going to have to contact the excursion companies, cancel those, rebook something, unless they will reschedule them, which sometimes they do in ports. So it's all just one big hassle. And remember that original itinerary change where it said that they were going to give us extra time in Halifax now? Look at what they say this time. Please note, we are now departing Halifax, Canada at 8 p.m. local time, which will allow us ample time for safe arrival and dockage in New York City for disembarkation on July 13th, 2024. Okay. They were going to give us extra time in Halifax last time we had an itinerary change because it was going to enhance guest experience. This time they've taken that extra time back off and said it will give us safe arrival and dockage in New York. So when they changed the itinerary before, they weren't concerned about safe dockage time. Now we're going to arrive in New York at 5 a.m. instead of 7 a.m. so they can get us off the ship quicker. Oh, and no additional onboard credit for this change. See, the reason why I'm really concerned is I looked at the new cruise offerings for 2025 with Norwegian, and you know what? They have the exact same itinerary that we originally booked that circumnavigates Iceland, hits the two ports in Greenland, and comes over Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and New York. Exact same itinerary. So they changed it the first time because of guest satisfaction. So did they listen to guests that were dissatisfied on our cruise and decide to change it back? Maybe. Or did they just have this itinerary because they know people like it and will book it and they can change it later if they need to? What do you think? Was it a bait and switch? Was it safety first? I don't know. I will say I still had a great time on our cruise. We ate plenty of food, had a good time with our friends. This is Shirley with Shirley's Journeys, and I hope all of your journeys are pleasant ones.